too.
Is that a Holstein full-size box or is that a Guernsey?
It's Holstein black and white, dummy.
So Kevin, tell us about that super, that deep super.
Yeah, this design is not my own. It's one that I won last year. They had a contest at the Morris Somerset Fall Winter Meeting, and they raffled off the boxes afterwards, and I won this. So to me, it always reminds me of the Gateway Computer Company that it used to be.
Yes.
I want to show this one first. So let me talk about the premise of this. You don't want to set your hives on the ground. You could buy a hive stand, which is a piece that sits underneath the bottom board, so you don't literally put your bottom board down on the ground. But, you know, people use blocks, they use wooden stands. I looked in, I believe it was Beekeepers magazine, and there's a stand in there for sale that's about $75. And I said, oh, there's got to be some way to do it. And my wife always jokes with me about how I am with PVC. So I thought I'd go to the box store, and I have to say I bought this one at Lowe's. And there's the purpose for calling that out. So I said, I want something to raise the hives up about 12 inches off the ground. It's easier on your back when you're working on the hives when they're up off the ground than bending over, especially when you have a full deep that weighs 90 pounds full. I thought about making it out of wood. Quite frankly, I started down that path. I cut some 4x4s up. I started playing around with the design, and I said, boy, this is really frustrating for me. And you know, it wasn't as easy. I'm not a woodcraft person. But this is like Lincoln Logs or Legos. These are really very simple to work with. This piece right here is the second prototype. I'll talk about the design. If you look, the top bar comes down and it has a corner. And this T that's right here could literally be pointing that way and have a bar that goes across. I created this cradle thinking if the weight of the hive sat down inside, it would make the device a little more stable, should the wind really start to blow. On the first design that I built of this bottom corner is literally a corner, and then there's a T and it goes across, and the two bars are underneath each other. It works fine, and if you've gone to the YouTube channel for our club, you'll see I have a hive sitting on it, and it's fine. The difficulty is it just didn't have the stiffness that when you used the hive, if you took the hive and wiggled it this way, the box would go this way. So first prototype needed a little work. Then I saw that at Lowe's versus Home Depot, I hate to use that, they had this corner piece. And what this corner piece does is it gives you that rigidity from side to side. And I received some comments on the internet about whether this thing was strong enough and whether it would really hold a hive. And if you've seen some of those like Michael Palmer hives that are 9 boxes high, the things could weigh several hundred pounds. This particular design, I put 500 pounds on it and it didn't budge at all. But I said to myself, for the cost of just a few more dollars, I can make this thing bulletproof. So this is design number 1, and I can assure you that I would stand on that and not be afraid to do it, and I'm not a little guy. This is design number 2, so this is, or 3, this is the third prototype. I can tell you that this thing does not budge, and I would have no problem jacking my vehicle up and putting a board on here and setting a car on it. It is not going to move. Now, from a cost standpoint, it may look like it's got a lot of parts and pieces. It's $25 total. These pieces are less than $1. The most expensive pieces are the corners. And the rigidity of this thing is it will not move. It's completely solid. These little pieces in the middle are 12 inches. The big pieces are 19 that go across and cradle the hive. And the corner pieces are all standard. Now what happens here is there's 2 ways you could do this. I'm going to step out of here. How do you cut this stuff? It's really very simple. You could use a common hacksaw, right, in a box. This is a device made to cut PVC. You line it up, you give it a squeeze, and it is really simple to cut the stuff. When you're doing a lot of these things, Maybe you want to try a different way. So I have actually a chop saw, and you have like 2-inch sleeves in here that fit these pieces together. So I sat down and mapped it all out, and I cut 20 of these pieces and 10 of these pieces and had all the corners, and I put them all in. You ever hear the term mise en place for cooking? Everything in its place. So I had little boxes of everything, and I built one of these in less than an hour. Now, if you've never used PVC, what you do with this is you have 2 containers. One of them is a primer, and one of them is the actual glue. The primer has a little fuzzy ball on it. You take it, you run it around the end. You'll see some of these markings on these. You run it around until it just softens and cleans it, and then you put the glue on and you slide them together. The way they say to put them together is you put it in and give it a corner twist, a quarter turn. And trust me when I tell you this, line the thing up, get it straight, because as soon as you give that quarter turn and stop, it's welded, done. You will not move it, right? You'll learn as you get to use them. The great thing about this is if I made a mistake, I just cut this and I put a sleeve in between. You could buy the sleeves to connect the two together and you just fix it, right? Now, if you look at the difference, this one's straight up, you see the water markings. If you felt that you had a problem with weight or difficulties, you could literally fill these with sand or concrete. They're not heavy, so you could see there's nothing to it. Now, this one's green. It didn't come green. I bought some Krylon spray paint for plastic, and you just wipe it down with thinner according to that, and you spray it. And when you're out in your apiary next to your neighbors, you have something nice. Somebody was saying something to me before, like some of the stands that people build out of cinder blocks or whatever just kind of visually don't look very good. If you put your gateway hive out on a green stand like this out in your yard, it really looks nice. You know, so strength-wise, cost-wise, time-wise, it's something you could build in your garage. And I'm going to bring this to our spring meeting and show it to people. I'll have the video out there. And if anybody wants the plans, they're really very simple to make. This is 1-inch PVC too. A lot of people ask because you can get it 3/4 inch and a half. This is the 1-inch brand.
Are you going to put that on the website, the plans?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, NWBA.NJBeekeepers.org because people will see the video.
You should put a patent on that, though.
You know, this is my gift to the world. Somebody joked with me before, you could literally go into business of building these things and God bless somebody if they want to. I just don't have the time, but.
So you don't have to bracket it into the ground because you said you could put water or sand to make it stronger?
I have my hive out on it with 2 boxes. The boxes have standard, the thing is locked to the ground. If you look at this one, I'll fess up, I made a mistake on it. When you put them together, I didn't get this seam correct. This bar has a little bit lower drop than this one. When I put a bottom board on it, it's got a little twist. That's what happens when you build prototypes, you learn, right? But even when I took a real hive and I put it on it, it locks it down and it does not move. So I'm not concerned. And if I had to, what do you do when your platform isn't right? You put a shim underneath it, right? So you could shim this thing, but once you get it locked in, it's good to go. And the one thing I'll tell you about this tool is sometimes when you cut, it gets a little twist when it's going through and it won't be exactly straight. I built a lot of my sleeves and cut pieces on a chop saw, and it has a really narrow kerf on the blade, and when it cuts that, you want to go slow. The stuff flings it all over. Make sure you wear eye protection because the plastic goes all over the place. But a chop saw will cut straight through with no issue. So if you're doing a lot of these or several of them, I have 3 that I built so far for a prototype. And when I built these 2, I did them on a chop saw. So any other questions? Good, thanks.